Hello and welcome to Irresistible You. I am your host, Karen Seltz. And if you're new to me, I help coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs, easy for me to say, develop the courage and confidence to become authorities on video so they can create the impact and the income that they desire. Tonight, we're going to talk about gratitude. I know it's talked about a lot. And I'm going to share with you my experience with raising my vibration, raising my frequency, so that I can manifest anything that I choose. And a big part of that is being grateful for my life ahead of the events. I am a big follower of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he often says gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership, which means like the event has already happened. Like when you're grateful for something in the Newtonian model, which means you've already seen it or experienced it, gravity, like an apple falls on your head, Newton, that means it's already happened. Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's exactly what I wanted. And we get to start being in that state perpetually in order to manifest the lives we want. There's another quote that I love. It's Emmanuel Dogger. When gratitude becomes an essential foundation in our lives, miracles start to appear everywhere. And I love that. I'm also a student of A Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery. And they define a miracle as a change in perception. Now imagine if you have any three people explaining like a situation that they experienced, you're going to get three different accounts, right? And if you have 100 people, you get 100 different accounts. What if you could train your brain to have a positivity bias? What would change in your life? Probably everything. This is funny. Years ago, my daughters and I were complaining a lot. And I heard somebody say, like, create or complain. You can't do both at the same time. And when you're complaining, you're reinforcing a reality that you don't wish to experience, but you're reinforcing it and you're attracting more of it. So we implemented this complaint jar in our house. So every time one of us would complain, we put 50 cents in the jar. And in no time, it was up to like 20 bucks. But it really got us aware of how often we complained. Now, of course, I thought, I'm the mother. I don't ever complain. Yeah, I pulled out of somewhere I was driving and somebody cut me off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy just cut me off. And I'm like, oh, is that a complaint I heard? So it was like busting myself. So the first thing that we get to do when we're becoming conscious of anything, we're creating a new habit. It's noticing when we do the thing that we're trying not to do. So what are the things that you do a lot? Like complaining, for example, is pretty much the opposite of gratitude. It's pretty much the opposite. So if you're complaining that there's not enough money in your bank account or you don't make enough at your job, if we're talking about money, do you think you're going to be in a state? Do you think you're going to be in a frequency that you're going to attract abundance? No, you're going to attract more things to complain about. You're going to attract lack. So it's really, really important that we start noticing and not beating ourselves up, but just noticing like, oh, I see that I was complaining there. Interesting. Okay, what do I want instead? Because it's the things that we hold in our minds. It's not the fleeting thoughts, that pass through. Those are okay. You can let them pass. Just don't invite them in for coffee. Just say, thank you for sharing that. Now, be on your way. And you'll hear people that are in the meditation space talk about thoughts like clouds that just drift by. Let them drift by. Or like leaves on a stream, let them float by. You don't have to focus on them. You can just let them be. And then a new thought will come along, and choose it. Choose the new thought you want to come along by feeding yourself. So some important things to do when you are changing your thoughts is to think about, okay, what would I rather think? Because thoughts become things. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot. Like thoughts are like a radio antenna, like they're your receiver. So they send out these vibrations to the universe. Like, okay, I'm thinking that this is funny. I'll use this as an example. So I started doing an abundance program and I'm like, I'm going to attract $100 bill. I'm going to create this $100 bill. Now, here's the thing. You can't tell the universe how you want it to come. You get to be surprised. So it was very, very interesting. I kept looking on the ground for $100 bill. And along the way, my daughter at the park, when she was with me, found a $20 bill. I'm like, yes, we're getting close. Well, I was approached by Instagram to monetize 3 reels, just 3. And they were going to give me $35 per reel, which equated to $105. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Thank you, universe. Like they heard my order. The universe heard my order and filled it in a way that I never would have expected, because my social media following on Instagram is not great. My reels usually do fewer than 100 views on Instagram. There are other platforms that they do way better. So I was really surprised, right? So I'm like, oh, this is delightful. So it can come however it's going to come. We get to let go of the how, and we get to just be ready to receive. So whatever you think about repeatedly, whatever's in there, and a lot of times it is below our level of consciousness. And the way you can tell if you're thinking about something that is depleting or draining is, how do you feel physically? Number one. So if you feel tired, irritable, exhausted, you're probably thinking some thoughts that are not supporting you. They're based in something other than high vibration thoughts and emotions. So you get to become conscious. Okay, what was I thinking right before I felt tired? Oh, I was thinking about everything I had to do when I got home, and you go through the list and you're not present either. So get present, become aware of what you're thinking that creates these states, and then choose a different thought. Like, what would I rather experience? Okay, I'd rather experience energy. And many of you know that I coached in a transformational leadership program for a little over a year. And one of the concepts there is energy is a choice. And I'm like, what? Before I did this program, I thought I must get 8 hours of sleep a night or I will be no good to anybody. I can't think, I can't, whatever. I look like crap. I had all these stories and I was much younger then. Well, this program, that leadership program, taught me like, I don't need that many. The minimum requirement to attend the sessions was 4 hours of sleep per night. That's it. I mean, not for an extended period of time, but while you were in the training, and the longest one was 4 days, you were required to get at least 4 hours of sleep. The rest was gravy. Like, woo, it's abundance, right? I get to be grateful for that. So energy is a choice. And by guarding your thoughts, watching them, like, oh, interesting, I'm choosing to be tired. It's fascinating. Just try it. And our mindset is it accounts for everything. It's so important. So watch your thoughts. What are some high vibration thoughts? I attract abundance easily and constantly. I and abundance are one. I and God are one. I mean, these are all universal truths. They are laws. And a lot of times we use our senses to dictate what our reality is. And our senses are full of crap. They're highly subjective. Everybody senses something different. So is it really reality? It's fascinating. So when you think about like mindset, you think about, someone like Bill Gates, billionaire, right? Does he have the same mindset as somebody who has become homeless? No, of course not. He has different beliefs, different thoughts that fuel his mind. So who is it that inspires you, that you could emulate? Like, what kind of thoughts does that person think? And you get to start thinking that way. And it is a training. It's a practice. It's not a perfection. It is a practice. So over and over, when you catch yourself, you're like, oh, wait, I was thinking lack thoughts. I get to think abundant thoughts, or I was thinking unhealthy thoughts. And if you study anything, you know, the Bible, Way of Mastery, Course in Miracles, it is your birthright to be happy, whole, abundant, healthy, and dis-ease in the body is representative of some thoughts that metastasized into our body. And if we change those thoughts repeatedly and we become grateful for everything, everything. And I talk about people that trigger me are my greatest teachers. Now, in the moment, sometimes I can be grateful for them. A lot of times I get to, experience some anger, frustration, irritation first. And I'm like, okay, what is this person here to teach me? What lesson am I ready to learn? Because they wouldn't be here unless I was ready to heal something. And it takes, sometimes I get to step back a moment, feel some emotions first, and then go to the logical things that I believe. But sometimes, it takes a minute, and sometimes it takes a phone call with somebody who's going to not co-sign my bullshit story that I'm a victim of anything. So find those people too. Like, who are the people that will hold you accountable for your thoughts? Who are the people that are moving and shaking and aspiring to higher levels, who are on a trajectory to create their vision? Those are the people you want to surround yourself with. So we have our thoughts. So that is the signal to the universe. It's like the radio antenna that's going out. Our emotional state is a magnet. It will magnetize whatever we think to us. And the highest vibrational emotions are things like gratitude, unconditional love, unity, oneness, joy, bliss, all those things. So when you're feeling sad or depressed, I'm not saying ignore that, but what are the things that bring you joy? And the quickest way for me to shift my state when I'm feeling like victimy or sad, something like that, where I feel like someone did something to me, is to focus out. So I just like get quiet and I say a little prayer. I'm like, okay, who would benefit from a call from me right now? And immediately, almost every single time, it's immediate, like somebody pops into my head and into my heart. And I call that person. And inevitably, that person says, I'm so glad you called. I was just like in this situation where I was blah, blah, blah. And it's usually whatever I was experiencing. Like I was feeling like I was a victim. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about it. And then by me getting out of my comfort zone, getting out of what I call my shitty diaper, where I'm sitting in it and I'm like, oh, it's warm and squishy and I want to sit here and feel sorry for myself and my heels are dug in. Instead of sitting in it, I stand up, focus out, and call somebody else. And when I support that person through a shift, through a mindset change, which is a miracle, then I rise too. So they rise, I rise, we both rise. And it's a beautiful way to shift your state. So if you haven't done that, I highly recommend you try it. And the other thing is you could call somebody else and say, I could really use your support. I feel like I'm a victim, or I'm feeling really sad and I could use this support from you. And tell people what you want. They're not mind readers. Most people will try to fix you, which is never what you need. You never need to be fixed because you're not broken. You are not broken, nor is anyone else. Nobody needs to be fixed. So when somebody calls me for support, if I'm being mindful, I say, what's the best way I can support you? And they'll tell me. And if they say, I don't know, I said, well, do you want me to just listen? Do you want to like vomit it all out for a minute? Or do you want coaching? You want me to ask you questions? You want me to remind you of the truth of who you are? So if you give them some examples like those three, then they can choose. Or sometimes it's just, do you want me to just sit here on the other end of the phone while you cry? Like holding space for people is powerful. You don't need to say a thing. And it's such a gift when you have people in your life that have the capacity to do that for you. and you get to develop it too for yourself, that capacity. So gratitude, it's such a beautiful thing. Every single day, when you train your mind to look for things to be grateful for, it's going to start looking for them and it's going to notice them. And when you start noticing them and focusing on them, you will experience miracles. You're going to experience more and more things to be grateful for because you've told your mind, hey, look for things I can write down in my gratitude journal. So if you are in the practice, you can do two things. I like this one. One is future gratitudes. So if you want to do it daily, you could say it's today, whatever the day is, and then put a time like in the evening, it's 9 p.m. And I'm so grateful that I experienced this, and this today. Whatever you want to experience, you have gratitude for it in advance and you allow yourself to feel those feelings. So you do this in the morning. It's called future gratitudes. And then you're already primed. You're already telling the universe, this is what I want. It's like being at a restaurant and you put your order in. You're like, okay, this is what I want. And I want no croutons. I don't know, whatever. So you get exactly what you order, right? When you go to a restaurant. Well, it's like that in the universe. And you get to feel it and you get to be grateful that the universe has brought it to you ahead of the event. This is the key, is feeling, experiencing all the feelings. Like say you put down, you won the lottery, you won $1 million. How are you going to feel when you win that? You're going to be like, I won the lottery today. Well, no, you're going to be jumping up and down, screaming, picking up the phone. You get to feel that. Like when you experience those emotions ahead of the event, they're going to be drawn to you so fast. And the beauty is when you practice this over and over, you're not attached to the actual things happening anymore because you're so happy, because you're just happy. You're happy because you are feeling that, experiencing the joy, the gratitude, the excitement, the adventure, whatever it is, the connection, the love. And you don't need the things anymore. And when you don't need them, you don't feel separate from them. Needing something to happen or to appear in your life as substance means that you're separate from it. And you don't manifest anything when you're separate. Yeah, let that sink in. So we are having our thoughts by, telling the universe what we want, and then we're experiencing the emotions. And one of the best ways to do this is future gratitudes. So when you write down your gratitude, you're like, it's today at 9 p.m. or whatever time you go to bed, whatever. And you're like, I'm so grateful that this, and this happened. And I experienced these emotions. And then experience them. Let's sit in it for a minute, bask. What would happen? How would your day turn out if you started every day with that simple practice? It's beautiful. And then you get to, at the end of the day, if you want to, be grateful for what really did happen. Like, be grateful that you walked. Be grateful that there was no traffic. Be grateful that a stranger held the door for you, or that you smiled at someone and made their day, or you gave a genuine compliment and somebody accepted it and you changed their day, their week, their month. I mean, it could be the simplest little things. Like, I have a 14-year-old daughter and I say, I love you all the time. And every now and then she'll say, I love you too. And I'm like, oh, and it means so much because she doesn't say it that often. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it could be those little things. Or the same daughter, we were laughing so hard the other day, and that doesn't happen that often. We don't have the same type of humor. I laugh a lot with my older daughter, but it was so lovely. I'm like, oh, this was great. It was so great to laugh with you. I mean, and we were just like going off on some silly tangent, and it was so fun. So the other thing is watch your emotions and build in things that bring you joy. Like, okay, 30-second dance party. And even if you're at an office, like, so what? Like, put in headphones if you're going to cause a disturbance, but your energy is contagious. What do you want to spread? Do you want to spread dis-ease and angst, low vibration emotions and energy? Or do you want to like, woo, raise the roof? Because you are at choice. Nobody else gets to choose your energy. You do. And it is 100% contagious. So what do you want to spread? Spread love, spread joy, spread happiness, and lighten up because it gets to be fun. And life is not meant to be serious. And it is nearly impossible to manifest things when you're serious. You get to be playful and fun and enjoy it. Ah, yes. So future gratitude is one of my favorite things. You can do it for 30 days, 90 days, whatever you'd like. I like to do those as well for bigger things like, oh my gosh, it's, 3 months from now and I cannot believe what just happened. And, write down all the things you've manifested and then read it over every day or write new ones every day. And add the daily ones in the morning because those not only do they get you in a good mood, but they keep your mind focused. It tells your subconscious mind, okay, this is what our butts on the line for today. So let's do these things. I'm so grateful that I created, and I will talk about things that are on my to-do list, only they're already manifested with joy and ease and fun and in surprising and beautiful ways. So try that out. Let me know how it goes for you. Send me an email or a message, and I would love to hear how this changes your emotions and what you are manifesting. Because whatever you want is available. And whatever you're experiencing, this sucks sometimes to hear, is an outpicturing of what's in your mind. Usually it's what's in your subconscious mind. So whatever you believe you are worthy of is exactly what you're experiencing. So for me, one of my big things is mess, clutter. I have issues like I'll get that later and then I don't. And then I live in a mess a lot of times. And it hit me one day. I'm like, this is what I think I'm worthy of. I'm like, oh, interesting. Another area I get to clean up, right? Literally and physically. So look for those little telltale things too. Like, what are you tolerating? What are you ignoring? Because I have a pile on my dresser that I ignored for a really long time. Like, I just don't even see it, but my subconscious mind sees it and says, there you go. There's a reason you're not worthy of something better because you're tolerating this. And it could be in relationships too, with friends. It could be anywhere. So look at that. Look at what you're tolerating and choose again. Choose like whatever you want and start planting that stuff in your mind by doing the future gratitudes and being grateful for everything the moment you're able to. And I'm not saying ignore your emotions. You get to feel them. You don't want to suppress them. And then say, okay, yes, I'm angry and I am committed to being happy. So what would make me happy right now? How could I be happy? Instead of saying why you're not happy, say, how could I be? How could I experience joy? How could I experience passion and adventure? Go to a crowded place and ask a stranger to race. It's hilarious. Nobody expects that. So try it. It's super fun. All right. I will see you next week right here on Irresistible You. Ignite your passion and purpose. Thank you so much for watching.